It's my absolute and great pleasure to have our headliner and special guest, Colin Kaepernick, who actually just came here from the stage here in our little cozy box for the official after stage interview. Colin, welcome here. Thanks for being here.
Oh, thank you. Excited to be here. Just had a great time on stage, so excited to sit down.
Yeah, it's super cool. Before we start, actually, I want to ask you a question. I ask everybody who is in this little cozy box with me. How has your year been so far, like 2023?
It's been good. A lot happening in the world, a lot happening just throughout different communities.
Yeah.
But family's healthy, I'm healthy.
That's great.
So everything is all good.
Yeah,
we keep building from there.
Yeah, perfect. Have you had some personal highs? Would you say this was absolutely amazing in this year?
Yeah, being here at ISPO, of course.
That is super
This is
great
my
to
first
hear.
time in Germany.
Yeah.
First time in Germany, first time in Munich. So it's an amazing experience for me. I'm excited. Tomorrow I get to see a little more of Munich.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that. Getting a little history, a little culture.
Oh, super cool. What are the plans for tomorrow?
No real plans outside of the football match.
Yeah.
So we get to go to that. I'm excited for that. That'll be my first. So I'm looking forward to it. And then the rest of the day, have time to be able to explore the city,
Perfect.
see a little bit of Munich.
You're gonna enjoy, I promise. So you were on stage, like at ISPO Munich, like the most influential show when it comes to global sports, actually. And you did like an amazing interview. The audience loved what you said. So what I actually think, how do you feel about it? Speaking to everybody who works in the sports industry and the sports business.
It's always interesting to me because in trying to prepare for answering questions and talking to a sports community is what can I say that is relevant? What can I say that's impactful? If there's one thing that they can take away that resonates with them, I view that as a success. The opportunity to just be in front of them is amazing. And to be able to do it at ISPO in Munich, Germany, is just icing on the cake. So, it's just an amazing opportunity. Hopefully I get to get out there and meet some of them as well. But I just, more than anything, I appreciate the chance to be in front of them, share a little bit of what I've been through. Hopefully it helps them move forward. And collectively, hopefully that helps us build a better future and gives us a pathway to collectively move forward in a way that is equitable and beneficial to everybody.
I think you inspired a lot of people today. And you actually, you said it yourself, you introduced yourself a little bit as somebody who wants to build a better future, right? Like on stage some minutes ago. So that puts you in the public spotlight all time long. So actually, can you separate and split private life and business life when you're having such a mission on yourself?
You definitely have to find the balance.
Yeah.
It is something that takes a lot of time, takes a lot of dedication, a lot of work to be able to get things moving and have an impact. But being able to find time for the family, I have a daughter now, so making sure that you have those moments that you're fully dedicated and present there as well. Mm-hmm. And striking that balance is very important.
Yeah, okay, I see. So you're actually very good, in balancing it?
Debatable whether or not I'm good at it, but I try to do the best I can.
Yeah.
Sometimes it is hard to turn off.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Being focused, but being able to find those opportunities where you can disconnect for a second.
Yeah.
Those often become moments where you may find something new in that disconnection.
Yeah.
That may give you a new way to look at the problem you were trying to solve.
Yeah, so sometimes step back a little bit and then have a new look on it, right?
Exactly.
That's super cool. Today on stage, we talked a lot about symbols. Yeah, and you're a symbol yourself. You had a symbol gesture in the past, actually. So in 2016, at that time, it was a big topic in the United States, right? But did you get actually some reactions outside of the United States too? Like from Europe, for example?
Oh, absolutely. what was amazing to me was the support that came through globally.
Yeah.
I mean, seeing images of football players or soccer players taking a knee, cricket players, volleyball players, cheerleaders. Seeing that spread across the globe was really incredible in the sense that the world wants a better future. And to me, not having traveled the entire globe, I've been to a few countries, but to be able to see that increased my resolve in what I was doing.
Yeah.
Because I knew other people wanted it and they shared that vision. And that made it easier to keep going, which is incredible to be able to have that level of support and that level of alignment in vision.
So it motivated you a lot, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, super cool. And there were so many symbols out there at the time and after that, so you inspired a lot of athletes as well. Do you think, like, how I say, we need more symbol? Because it occurs to me when I saw you on stage and heard what you said, so for me it's like the perfect peaceful protest, right? What do you think about that?
Part of me wishes that there wasn't a need for a symbol. Like, to me, that's the place that we should be striving to get to. That there's no need for anyone to take action like this.
Yeah.
Now, in the meantime and on that journey, I think it's important to have them. Because when if I think back to like Rosa Parks or Tommy Smith and John Carlos or Muhammad Ali, they become beacons of hope.
Yeah.
That when people are going through tough times, when they're trying to overcome obstacles, when they're trying to change systems and change society, they become people that you can look to and symbols you can look to. And like, no, they struggled through it and had an impact, so can we.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to be able to have those blueprints that you can lean on in difficult times that help you keep going.
So actually that also, how to say, results in we need to support athletes in being a symbol and more, like what you did with your foundation, for example.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it also becomes something in 2023 and beyond.
Yeah.
You're going to see more and more support of athletes that are taking stands, that are working to better communities, because there's direct access and connection to them. And people have a very direct way to voice their support and opinion now, where that was a little more difficult in the past. So I think that's completely changed the dynamic. I think we'll see more and more athletes doing that and more support behind them.
I think that's good, because I thought about if you're like a young athlete, maybe not a super pro right now, but on the way to it, kind of, yeah? Mm-hmm. So I think, and then you stand up and be a symbol, or you want to support for a social cause, and you commit to something for community, for society, something. So you, how I say, you get not very friends sometimes. You, how I say, you have to take, I say, a lot of shitty news. You have to, you get like really bad feedback. Something you, I say, not very convenient to organizations or maybe brands or something like that. So if you like on a younger level, like how I say, not a super pro right now, but becoming one maybe, or super talented, don't you think you maybe risk your career by standing up too early? You need kind of a track record of successes that how I say allows you to have a standing in society to actually raise your voice.
Yes and no.
Mm-hmm.
I think it depends on what's most important to you.
Mm-hmm.
I also think it's something that, as society, we need to change some of that mindset. That is, you don't have to be the greatest in the world at what you do to say, I have an opinion on this topic. I have an informed opinion on this topic. That directly affects our society, which I'm a part of, or affects this community that I may or may not be a part of. So now I think the reality is right now, there are organizations that will look at that and say, I don't want to deal with that person.
Yeah, you're a troublemaker maybe.
Yeah. But there are other organizations who will look at it and say, you know what? I view that as leadership.
Mm-hmm.
Like, part of leadership is doing things that are uncomfortable, but you know that are best for your team or best for society.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's actually faulty thinking in, oh, that's a troublemaker versus, oh, that's a leader.
Yeah.
And I think that's a shift that's going to happen as well.
I like that idea, and I like that way of seeing it. It's really cool. Yeah. You're a role model, obviously, and we talked about role models on stage as well. And I checked, you have like around about 4 million followers on Instagram as well. So I think it is a great responsibility, no? How do you deal with that? So if you, shout out a message like an Insta story or something like that, how do you reflect that, like, you influence on a lot of people, you have a big outreach?
Yeah, it's there is responsibility, and I think as you have more and more of a following, and as you have more and more influence, your responsibility increases.
Yes.
And to me, that's whether you signed up for it or not, or thought that was going to come with it or not. That responsibility is still there.
Yeah.
So I think it's extremely important. Also, depending on, in my instance, when I think about posting things or what I'm saying, I know this may have an impact on a lot of other people. And for me, I want to make sure that as I'm doing things, I'm doing it with that in mind. So what's the best outcome for a collective?
Yeah.
As opposed to just taking the approach of, oh, this is going to be the best outcome for me, and that's it. And that's all I care. That's all I'm going to worry about. I just don't see that as it's not a productive or fulfilling way to live life to me. So I think it is important to be able to think through the impact beyond yourself.
I get the feeling that you kind of the person that second guess a lot before you do stuff like that. Before you, reach out or share a story or something like that. Is it true? Do you get like thoughts second guessing or asking for a second opinion?
I wouldn't say second guessing, but definitely before something goes up, think through what are the implications of it. And what impact that may or may not have, just to make sure, is this the best representation of me? Is this working towards what I'm trying to accomplish? I don't do a whole lot of things that are just like, hey, I'm out at the park this weekend. Like most of the stuff is pretty intentional.
Yeah.
But yeah, I try to be very thoughtful in what I'm approaching, what I'm posting, and how I'm going about things.
Yeah, I see it. More meaningful, right?
Yeah.
Another topic on stage today, and I think that is because it's super trending and the hot topic here and at ISPO Munich as well, is like mental health. And you, approach this topic a little bit by talking about resilience. So how important is resilience for yourself? How do you keep yourself resilient?
To me, resilience is a practice.
Yeah.
So any opportunity or anytime something difficult comes up, it's an opportunity to practice resilience. And for me, I think in taking it moment by moment in that approach, it makes it much easier to be resilient.
Yeah.
Because it becomes a finite moment that you're resilient through, and then you look for the next one.
Yeah.
And that makes it much more achievable to me, as opposed to, I'm just going to be a resilient person. Like, what does that look like, or how do you actually accomplish that?
Yeah.
But I think that resilience and the discipline, you take those moment by moment.
That is the actually kind of super plan, right? This sounds like a perfect master plan. So to inspire people to, how you say, desperately looking how to get resilience, because it was such a buzzword, especially during COVID time. So I think that is a great approach, right? Take it step by step.
I think you have to.
Yeah.
If you don't, the thing you're trying to accomplish becomes so ambiguous and so daunting.
Yeah.
That's like, what's my path to accomplish this?
Yeah.
Versus what is this piece that's in front of me, and how can I get through this?
Yeah.
And once I get through that, I'll get through the next one. And that's why I approach it as a practice, because getting through one doesn't make you resilient. Getting through two doesn't make you resilient. Consistently being able to say, you know what? I'm not going to let this stop me.
Yeah.
Let me keep going. And inevitably, something else is going to come your way. And you're going to be like, oh man, this is a lot to deal with. I need to figure out how I'm going to get this solution, or how am I going to move forward? And you'll figure a way out how to move forward.
Yeah.
And doing that over and over again, to me, that's how you build that resilience. That's how you build the capability where things don't become overwhelming.
Yeah, I see that. I think it's a good inspiration for others, actually. I think our readers will like it a lot. And I think resilience also has something about, how I say, is connected to self-confidence a little bit as well, right? So you talked about self-confidence, especially when it comes, how I say, to educate younger athletes or kids in something like that. So I actually, when I researched you, I checked, and you wrote a book, a children's book. It's called I Color Myself Differently. So how I say, to equip kids with self-confidence, was that the inspiration for that book maybe?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Through my own journey of finding and building confidence at a young age, that was the goal of that book, for people to feel confident in themselves, confident in who they are. And I think that's extremely important to build at a young age, because if you have that self-confidence, and it may be, I guess you could frame it as a level of optimism.
Mm-hmm.
Like in most instances, maybe all instances, I feel like I'm going to win or figure out a way to move forward.
Yeah.
And I think foundationally having that perspective puts me in a space where I'm looking for the opportunities to move forward, versus looking at the problem itself.
Yeah.
And saying, oh, that's what I need to focus on.
Yeah.
The problem just gives you a framework of what you're dealing with.
Yeah.
The self-confidence and mentality gives you the pathway of how you move past it, around it, under it, through it, whatever it may be.
So actually, how you say, it displays a little bit of yourself, this book, right?
Very much so.
Yeah.
Very much so. Because I had to deal with that at a young age. Especially when you play sports. Like, you are gonna lose. You are gonna get humiliated. You're gonna have terrible days.
Yeah.
And going to resilience and self-confidence. Can you come back for the next play? Can you come back for the next practice, the next game, and be better than that last one?
Yeah.
And in many instances, like, especially at a young age, you may look terrible and you may get embarrassed, and sports has a way of humbling you.
Yes.
Like, very publicly.
Yes.
You can't hide from it.
Yes. I think a lot of people are with you right now.
And you're like, I think a lot of people will look and they're thinking right now of those exact moments that was like, oh, that was terrible. Like, in many ways, the losses or the bad moments become much more visceral in memory. And I think being able to come back from that, like, I'm gonna keep going. That's not where this ends.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get better. I'm gonna make sure I step on the field or the court or the pitch and be better next time. Like, that builds a resilience, a self-confidence. And again, that doesn't just apply to sport. That then carries into all aspects of your life.
Yeah, yeah. That's universal, right? Yeah, I can imagine. Well, speaking about how you say educating children and young athletes and give them self-confidence, you also spoke about that the athlete has more power to their own narratives, right? So, and I thought to myself, because like we have a global trainers summit here, we are in contact with a lot of coaches here at SBU Munich as well. And so how do you think about how much does media training should be part of, like, how you say, talent education, especially when it comes to sports?
My instinct is, I think it will happen more now, but I don't think it'll happen in a traditional sense. Like, I think a lot of young athletes are getting media training because they're on camera themselves so frequently that they are getting reps at doing it. How they want to convey messages, what they want to talk about, what's authentic to them, what's genuine to them. So I think that's already happening. Will it happen in a more formalized sense? I'm not sure.
Should it happen?
I think it's beneficial.
Yeah.
It depends what you're looking for the outcome to be.
Yeah.
Because is it just to be able to do a good interview? Is it to be able to speak better on a specific topic? Is it be able to better represent yourself or the organization? It depends what the goal of it is that would change what my answer would be.
So it actually, how you say, refers a little bit as to how you find your role in the world as an athlete, right? So what kind of athlete you want to be and what kind of person you want to be when you display yourself out there and, how you say, get in the spotlight of public.
Absolutely. I think it very much becomes what is true and authentic to that athlete. Whatever that is, become really good at that. And there'll be areas that you may have a passion in, and maybe it's not being on camera. But also knowing that you're likely going to be on camera in being successful, having a level of preparation there, whether it's formal or otherwise, I think becomes important. But I think whatever it is athletes want to do, like, put time into it and become really good at it, that will come through in whatever you're doing.
Yeah, I believe so as well. I think it's cool. Yeah. Well, we'll come to an end now, but a question I think is very important, and you said it yourself, and I think if I summarize it that way, you basically said sport has a responsibility out there, right? So sport is like entirely political at some point, but it also can be a political tool, and it can also be a little bit abused. So how can we draw a line here? Is the athlete in responsibility here to draw a line, say, to that sports get not abused as a political tool?
I think the athletes are in a unique position to bring those elements to life. But I think it is also very important and a responsibility of fans and communities and society to dictate to organizations what they want. And in doing that, organizations respond. Throughout history, we've seen that. Because organizations can't operate if they don't have fans, if they don't have support, if they don't have athletes. And all of those things become important in being able to push forward and create a better future. So the responsibility is, if we do want that better future, it falls on all of us to be able to create it. Now, I think athletes have outsized impact in being able to spark and initiate and continue to push because of their position of influence. But then fans and communities also have to be able to rally behind them and continue to push that forward.
So you need to have this dynamic. So have the peers and your fans behind you, supporting you, and then it can become a movement. And
absolutely. I think that's very important.
When you become a movement, and when you're part of a movement, sometimes, times can get a little bit rough. I don't need to tell you. And you actually mentioned on stage that you had like brands, like they stood behind you, for example, Nike. And that raised the question here at ISPO Munich, where we have a lot of brands and corporates. Do you think we actually need more corporate sustainability out there in the industry?
I will say, I don't know it internationally as well. I would say from the U.S. perspective, very much so. I think there was a lot of initial work done and a lot of marketing and PR done around it. But a lot of that has faded and gone away. A lot of the initiatives around diversity, equity, and inclusion, a lot of those have been dismantled. A lot of those people have been fired from those positions and they don't exist anymore. So there's still a lot of work that needs to be done there. And again, I think that comes back to customers or fans or communities. They have to voice their opinion of what they think is acceptable and what brands and organizations they're willing to support. Do they represent their beliefs?
But probably other corporates get inspired by, if there is a movement behind them, they can see they can prove a point here and be authentic.
Absolutely. And I think the companies that are doing that and doing it well, like they're leaps and bounds ahead of other companies. And they have cultural impact, which is having business impact, which is having real world impact. All of those are existing at once together. I think more companies that can see and realize this is good for them in supporting communities. Like these are your customers, these are your fans. Why would you not support something that is supporting them? And I think that alignment, as more companies realize that, I think the better off we'll be and the better off companies will be.
Well, that's a cool way of thinking of it, yes. You actually mentioned something on the stage, like you're gonna start up, you're gonna, how you say, be an entrepreneur. Can you tell us a little bit more?
Early work, so can't dive into it yet.
A teasing moment.
But it will be coming. I'm very excited for it though. It's a new challenge, something I'm very excited about, and also something that I think creates more opportunity and access for people globally within the industry I'm looking to tackle. So I'm excited about that because I think there are going to be so many new ideas, so many new frameworks that people are going to come up with. That my hope is by doing that will be able to have a significant impact on how people view the world, how we view each other, and how we move forward together.
Well, I think so. We can, how I say, we observe and we will check, and I think it's going to be super excited about how you say, see what your plan's going to be. Yeah, it's super crazy. So, final question, actually. So, we're here like in the center of the sports industry globally. And what would be your final message? If you have a message that you want, how I say out loudly to the sports world and sports business community out there, what would that be?
Sports world and sports business community.
All the brands, all the athletes, everybody like who works in sports or earn money with the sports, if you would have a final message for them.
We can use sports to change the world. I think in having alignment between athletes, sports, companies, brands, we can make that reality come to fruition much quicker than we can if everybody's not aligned. So let's do that. Let's do that now. Let's be intentional with it, and let's create that better future, because it benefits everybody and will have a significant impact on millions of people's lives.
So, dear business community out there, listen to Colin. I think he has really some new perspective and smart things to do. Thank you so much, Colin, to be here. Thank you so much visiting Espo Munich. It was a great pleasure to discuss and speak with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you.